More than 45,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas are now on strike for the first time since 1977. They walked off the job once the clock struck midnight. Workers are demanding higher wages and a total ban on automation in the ports. Experts warn the strike could disrupt supply chains and raise prices for consumers. The timing could also cause tremendous disruptions to this year's holiday shopping season, which usually gets into full swing next month. Officials also say the walkout has the potential to become the most disruptive strike to the U.S. economy in decades. Just a week-long strike could cost the U.S. economy $3.8 billion.
It's a lot of money compared to 80 cents for 3 months.
These people today don't know what a strike is. When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's gonna happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means.
Shalom. First thing and foremost, I give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem B'Chakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Ruwell. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in his gospel, bride, lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a lesson through the spirit. Port strike officially took place this morning, 12:01 a.m. When I think over 45,000 dock workers decided to walk off the job for higher pay and wages and the reduction of automation, which automation with these particular systems, and you're going back to production. These things have been into play for decades. I mean, automating the systems and the particular conveyor lines and so forth like that. Even when you go like into the Ford facilities or like the GM plants and the Ford plants, automation, a lot of times they have those things, of course, to cut costs and shortcuts and to do a more efficient job for less price. But it takes money to keep those machines up and running. But at the same time, people was complaining about being worked to death. Was putting these big ass motors and these Ford F-150s and stuff. That's a very manual labor job, man. So you got automation within the form of these particular machines that kind of accelerates the production of these particular companies. But you got workers saying, well, look, if you automate everything, then eventually we're going to be out of a job. Because even when you go into the AI sector, into the tech jobs, you got AI that's taking over every goddamn thing, man. And people are mad about that. So it says port strike call at East and Gulf Coast cargo facilities as dock workers walk off the job. And we just heard one of the presidents or the CEO of the plant. Well, I believe he's like one of the main guys at one of the plants. And he was basically saying, look, yeah, they may tell us we have to come back to work, but we ain't got to move like they tell us, shit, you know, we ain't getting paid for it, and y'all not upping our pay wages, so we can go, but we ain't gonna do shit. You know, which can be a bad thing, because I think every 7 days or so, I think it's like every, what the hell is this? I believe it's like every 7 days. Oh, no, I'm Slocky. Every day it sets the production back 7 days. So a week of a shutdown, that can set the country back a month and a half and some change. You know, and they can lose billions of dollars, man. So when I was looking into, they was talking about, even though they was 17% ahead of the rate from last year, they were already started to ship things to, like Mexico and different ports, and you know, to offload those particular freights, and then they'll just ship them by train and truck. But even then, if you have the other, or the 50% of the country that's taking on a slack of 49%, then that's gonna hold up supply chains, and that's gonna cause congestions, and things ain't gonna be moving efficiently. So you're gonna have to call people in, temporary workers, to try to get shit off the rip, which can cost you a lot more money in the long run, you know. But I pray that this thing continue to goes on, because now we know that we're into the holiday season now. You know, you got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving next month, and then you got Christmas, which is in December, and this is when everybody starts to do their shopping. This is when credit card debt goes up. This is when people rob Peter to pay Paul, to try to, you know, get their little misfits gifts and all this other bullshit. But nonetheless, man, this is a start, which Babylon the Great has been falling for some time, but this may accelerate the fall. And on top of that, I was looking here, and you got this war that's taking place. It says Iran prepared to attack Israel with ballistic missiles. And as we know that, I believe that they invaded Lebanon, like the ground invasion has started, if I'm not mistaken. So we already know that World War III is simultaneously equipped with the economic collapse, because once the economy collapses, Esau has to do one thing, and that's the MOTB. So as this war is intensifying, now the Lord is getting ready to pull a plug on this economy, because, hey, Esau got to come with that MOTB. You know, we ain't got to no 2030, man. Come on, let's get this shit on and popping. I'm not trying to be here another 5 fucking years, man. Let's get this shit popping. You got everything in play. Just collapse the economy and bring in a fucking chip. Like, goddamn, like, I mean, because regardless of it, you still gonna go down, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna read this article, and I'll play the video and get a couple of precepts. But it says thousands of dock workers at ports from New England to Texas went on strike after midnight on Tuesday as they rallied for higher pay and more job security. And people are tired of working like slaves, man. You know, you're taxed to death, rents are going up, inflation is at an all-time high, and yet you still paying people pennies on a dollar. And this is one of the most important jobs in the country. Okay, you're keeping the very essence, you're keeping the blood flow flowing through the veins, so to speak, because America is all about ports and imports and trades and supply chains, man. This is what keeps the economy afloat, you know. But Babylon is on a bleed out, you know, like they call it, a slow leak, but she's accelerating now. So basically, you ain't getting nobody to change the band-aid on the artery. This place is just gonna bleed out, okay? Because for one thing, the money ain't worth anything. All right, but it says the work stoppage, the first East and Gulf Coast port since 1977. It says follows a lengthy impasse in labor talks between the International Longshoremen Association, which is the ILA, and the United States Maritime Alliance, which is the USMX, a shipping industry group representing terminal operators and ocean carriers, with those big line carriers you see that can carry up to 30, 40, 50 of those big them trailers you see, them 18 on them big semi trucks, those trailers. This is what it is. This is what they carry across seas. And I mean, you got shit coming across seas through on clockwork, because like I said, this is how they get the goods into the country. But eventually that's all gonna stop, and that's Bible prophecy as well. Okay, it says the strike was expected to involve 25,000 workers. I thought it was 45,000, but it says 25,000 according to USMX, and close to 14 ports: Baltimore, Boston, Charleston, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, Miami, Houston, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, New York, New Jersey, Norfolk, Virginia, Philadelphia, Savannah, Georgia, Tampa, Florida, and Wilmington, Delaware. And this one here, New York, that's a major hub. I mean, shit moves there first. If New York ain't getting shit, then nobody else is getting shit because New York is that's the Empire State. Okay, and we want to be technically honest. That's literally like one of the capitals of the world. This is New York City. You know, that's where it all goes down at, and then they delegate from there. But it says U.S. MX Bulk won the strike when they decided to hold firm to foreign-owned ocean carriers, earning billion-dollar profits at United States ports, but not compensate the American ILL longshore workers who perform the labor that brings them their wealth. And you know what, man? The more I look into this, I'm starting to think this is all set up too, because this is another way to accelerate the economy collapse, economic collapse. Because I mean, I'm not saying that they wasn't complaining about this for some time, but all of a sudden now, you know, it's funny how this is all coming together. You know, you got processing plants that was being certified 3 days a week. I mean, three a day, 7 days a week. You know, you're killing birds and cows, euthanizing animals. You know, you burning down egg plants. I mean, all types of shit. And all of a sudden, you had a biolab that allegedly exploded, I think in Georgia yesterday or 2 days ago. So, come on, man. I feel like all this shit is just set up. But you know what? It is what it is. But it says here, it says the ILA president, okay, so he's the president, Harold Daggett, said in a statement posted on social media, "We are prepared to fight as long as necessary to stay out on strike for whatever period of time it takes to get the wages and protections against automation and our ILA members." Okay, and automation, this is going to be a hard one because, I mean, this is cutting costs and it accelerates it. Whatever brings the elites more money, they're going to be with it. Okay, automation, it says the use of introduction of automatic equipment in the manufacturing or other processing facility, going back into like what I was mentioning about Ford. Okay, so, and automation has been going on fucking 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, automation has been around for some time. And honestly speaking, with this new AI shit, it ain't going nowhere, man. Okay, but what we're witnessing is a bleed out of Babylon the Great. This is the scriptures. It says the ILA is demanding a sizable wage hikes and a complete ban on the use of automated cranes, gates, and containers moving trucks and unloading or loading freight. And honestly speaking, they can give you all the money and keep automation because automation will help your jobs a little easier. Instead of you having to train somebody to go to crane school and pay their ass $200-300 an hour, which that's a heavy career. I thought about getting into that a while ago, learning how to operate cranes and shit. That's $200 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Very, very safety sensitive job. But shit, it'll help a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, as far as with the training and shit. But it says the union says shut it down all ports from Maine and Texas as tens of thousands of ILA rank and file members began setting up picket lines at waterfront facilities up and down the Atlantic and Gulf Coast after the USMX offer fell short of what ILA rank and file members are demanding in wages and protections against automation. It says the Port of New York and New Jersey quickly said it was closing numerous facilities Tuesday due to the strike, and the Port of Virginia did the same thing. So they not bullshitting. It says the workers began picketing at the Port of Philadelphia shortly after midnight, walking in a circle at a rail crossing outside the port while chanting no work without a fair contract. And, you know, this is a supply chain because once this slows down, like I said, a day sets them back 7 days. So once this shuts down and nothing is moving, eventually all the shit that's moving now, once they move and place everything, then the truckers will be out of work. Then the locomotives, you know, the men that drive the Union Pacific trains, these men will be pretty much out of a job or on some type of layoff because everything works in the supply chains. They fly it over or they get it off the boat. For one thing, they can't fly everything over. So most things come over here by ships, right? So they ships, they dock it, all right, and then they unload shit trucks, and then you got certain trucks that take it to rail yards and they unload the trucks and they put it on the train and then they ship it to the stores and another truck comes to pick it up and sends it to the distribution center. Then they palletize it and then they ship it to the stores. That's how they do it. So if this slows down, eventually everything slows down. You know? So it's getting ready to go down. All right, so let me get a quick preset real quick. All right, because people are bugging out. Because matter of fact, I saw this here, and this is allegedly in Kansas City. I don't know if this is Costco or Walmart or Sam's Club, but people are panic buying. You know, people are panic buying because all that shit was water and food and all this other shit. But look at the shelves. You know, like stocking up, okay? Like, don't be a dumbass, okay? Don't have nothing in your house, you know. Have you some couple of cases of water, some non-perishable products, you know, some stuff that can get you by. But overall, you ain't gotta go out there and be a bug out and buying everything up you see. Let me get this and that. Nah, bro, have faith, you know. Like, you know, I went to the store last week and grabbed a couple of items, man. You know, some rice, you know, some canned goods, a couple of cases of water. I gotta go get some crackers and shit like that, you know. But even then, it's just like, so be it. All right. And then they said inflation can go up, prices can go up. So this is the start of something serious. And Lord's will, they keep it up, man, because I'm ready to see this place go for good, you know. But anyway, this is the book of Luke 23, and it reads here. It says here, for they, behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Then they should begin to say, cover us and fall on us until the hills cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what should be done in a dry? And right now, you still have access to abundance because you still have a great amount of product that's moving through the ocean. Okay, it's not the fact that it's not coming over here, just they don't have the people to unload it. So if Esau has to do shit by plane and find other ways to do things, then he'll do it. But overall, this shit is getting ready to fall, man. Okay? And it says here, for if they do these things in a green tree, what should be done there in a dry? You know? And a dry is when everything shuts down. Because right now, you still got access to food. You can still go get a hamburger. You can still get a carton of eggs. You still go get milk, bread, water. You know, you can get that shit right now. You know? But people are already bugging out because they don't have any faith in their society. And, you know, rightfully so. Why should they? All right? So this is the book of Zephaniah, first chapter, 10th verse. And it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, says the Lord, that there should be a noise of a cry from the fish gate. And when you think of the fish gate, you think of these ports. Okay? It says, and a howling of the second, and a great crashing from the hills, and the hills goes into your governments. It says, how ye inhabitants of Mektesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, and all they bear silver are cut off. So eventually, your stock markets and your supply chains, these things are gonna it's gonna halt. Okay, it's gonna come to a point that nothing is gonna be moving, and if you want anything, the problem is you're gonna have to take that MOTB. Okay, because when you go into Revelation, the 18th chapter, check this out. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn for her, that no man buy their merchandise anymore, because we know ultimately this place is going to be destroyed. Okay, but hey, matter of fact, going down to verse 17, it says, for in 1 hour so great riches come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company of ships, and we're reading that, we reading in an article, it says, and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of our burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? So eventually everything gonna come to a halt once this shit is really nuked and taken over. Okay, it's going to just a matter of time. All right, but anyway, going back to the article, it says workers began picketing the ports of Philadelphia shortly after midnight, walking in a circle at a rail crossing outside the port while chanting no work without fair contract. The Associated Press reported, adding the ILA had message boards on the sides of trucks saying automation hurts families. ILA stands for job protection, but I mean, this is just the wave of the future. AI, automation, you know, robots doing your job, that's just where everything is going. So eventually, they don't got to pay vacation. They don't have to pay out a 401k. They ain't got to pay you an hourly wage. Okay, they could just pay them mechanics to keep up the workers and the robots and doing what they have to do. But the people, I don't give a fuck about y'all, man. But it says President Joe Biden, a close ally of organized labor, has so far declined to directly intervene, citing the need to respect collective bargaining rights, but business groups are sure to heighten calls for action if this strike drags on, man. Okay? Look here, it says potential impact on consumers and the economy. So it says the port affected by the strike handled roughly half the country's cargo. Experts say the economic impact of a prolonged work stoppage could be steep, potentially rising costs for the consumer, goods, and creating shortages ahead of holidays. Yeah, and this is when people are going to lose it, because eventually this can lead to famine. It says 1 week strike can nearly cost the U.S. economy nearly $3.8 billion and increase the cost of consumer goods, according to the Conference Board, because you have supply and demand. It says shipments to divert to the West Coast and then placed on freight networks to ship east could add at least a week of transit time on the additional costs. It says, we see potential for ripple effects even on those with limited exposure to shipments originally bound for East Coast and Gulf Coast and West Coast ports are likely lack to the capacity to fully absorb the disrupted volume. But for consumers and businesses, a longer strike can hamper shipments of products such as bananas, manufacturing components, plywood, raw materials such as cotton, copper, and also the automobile industry. It says fresh meats and other refrigerated food also spoil, resulting in a shortage and increased prices. It says still many retailers and other businesses have been preparing for months, stockpiling products that could be disrupted by the port shutdowns. But goods for the holiday season typically ship between August and October. But with that, we believe that most holiday-heavy retailers adjusted their schedules in anticipation of a labor disruption, limiting some near-term downside risk in our view. So they try to do things to prevent it, but eventually it's just going to fall anyway. Okay, this is just prophecy, and honestly speaking, no matter what they do, the Lord is going to put a plug on this bitch. All right, so this is the book of Isaiah 19, and I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, and the water should fail from the sea, and the river should be wasted and dried up, and they should turn to rivers afar away. And the brooks of the fen should be empty and dried up, and the reeds and flags should wither. And the paper reeds by brooks and by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks should wither, be driven away and be no more. Because like I said, it's gonna come to a time of a systematic shutdown. It says, and the fishers also shall mourn, and all they cast the angle into the brook shall lament, and they that spread the nets upon the water shall languish, right? Because, like I said, we're in a time of shutting down. Things are getting ready to take a halt because they're trying to empty this system or close this current system, and they're trying to set up a new system when everything is digital, and this is what it's all about. So I believe that this is even part of their plan. But it says, moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks should be confounded, and they should be broken in the purposes thereof that make all the sluices and ponds and fish. So the work is getting ready to be obsolete. Eventually, none of us ain't gonna have a job to go to, and this is where people are gonna go about the streets. They'll start rioting, looting, and this is when they're gonna start going to people's homes, invading people's homes for the one of all things. So if somebody have some type of inkling that you have food or product put up, then they come in. What the fuck? I got this shit on Do Not Disturb, but it still somehow end up coming through. It just shuts the video down. But anyway, verse 14, it says, the Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to earn every work thereof, as a drunken man staggered in his vomit. Neither should there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail branch or brush may do. Okay? And in that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and they should be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shakened over it. Okay? So things are just getting ready to come to a abrupt halt. But I'm going to end it here, man. I got to get to this gig, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakadash. Lord's will.